Hi, I'm Sandy Fuse. I am going to record this session for Jerry's GRA 101 Intro to Graphic Design class on September 30th at 11 a.m. because Jerry was not able to be with us today. I don't know if she mentioned, but she broke her arm. And so it may be that she's out working on getting that fixed right now, but I sent out a Zoom meeting to your email as well as posted it onto the Blackboard site. However, I could not access her Zoom meeting. I would have gone in and just gone in, but she's the host. And to start up the meeting, you have to have a host. And so I am now the host of this meeting. Is there anything, well, one, you can talk to Jerry directly because I'm recording this and I'm going to tell her that it's available for her to watch. So if there's anything that you need to tell her, you're more than welcome to do that now, or at the end of the class, you can stay on a little bit and talk to her directly. You can send her an email, or when you're submitting your homework, you can always just give her in the notes section or the message section, give her an update on something. Are there any issues or questions that we want to talk about before we get started? Okay, from what I understood, we are doing the graphic design processes today. And many students, when they get into this class, they're annoyed is not the right term, but they're disappointed that there's not more hands-on to do. The problem is we have to give you the foundation. We have to make sure that when you're in Illustrator, when you're in Photoshop, when you're doing page layout and InDesign, they all have standards that you have to adhere to, because whether they're going onto the web or on a printing press later on, those are the next department. They are where your designs go to. And unless you have this foundation of all of this knowledge, you won't be able to do those next classes correctly or efficiently even. So think of this class, the Intro to Graphic Design, as a baseline class that's going to give you a lot of information, a lot of terms, and as we're going through it, hopefully there'll be a little bit more hands-on as you're going through, not just the reports that you have to write, but we'll be doing some thumbnails, some comps, and you'll learn some of the basics before you get onto the computer, thinking about how to be creative and come up with the concepts, the ideas, the brainstorming before you get to the computer and let the computer do all of that for you, which is not right. All right, I am going to, has she shown you the, I should start there, the PowerPoint for the graphic design processes? Is that one? Was the last one you did was the history of graphic design? Oh, I'm like this. I'm getting some feedback. This is good. Even though a lot of you are muted, that's good too. All right, then I'm going to start by sharing my screen, my messy, messy screen, and I'm just going to share, I think, PowerPoint instead of my whole desktop because it, like I said, it is messy. I'm going to go in and do a full screen. And so what we're really talking about is the first step, whether you're working in a marketing department or you're working for an ad agency or even a freelance designer, which I don't recommend you doing until you've worked out in the industry for a while. But we need to deal with clients, whether your client is your boss, whether your client is the head of a national food company that you're making labels or commercials or print advertisements or websites for. You need to understand how to work with clients, what research you can do, where to get this information so that you're prepared to work with these people. So how do you get clients? If you're in an ad agency, typically you're networking, you're talking to other people, the people that are in this class. In 2 years, once they're graduated, you will find that those people may land a job. They may need an illustrator, and they'll remember that you were in the illustration class with them, and some of your illustrations, your infographics were fantastic. And so they're going to call you, they're going to email you, whatever, and they're going to say, hey, I've got this side job. You want to, or we're hiring someone. Are you interested? So that's networking. Testimonials, if you can get customers or past things that you've worked on, those types of recommendations are a big deal to a client. They want to know that someone that they know and they respect has endorsed you. So that's someplace. If you specialize in something, maybe your portfolio is online and you specialize in just doing infographics, then when they're looking for infographics, your website may come up, and if it has a lot of hits, if it has a lot of comments or likes, you may be able to land a job just because you specialize in a certain area. If you go on to blogs and make comments, the comments may not be, oh, I really like what you're wearing today. The comment may be, I agree with half of what you've said here or stated. However, if you look at it from this direction, this, you become the expert. Now people are looking to you for commenting or information. So consider, as you're going out to some of these blogs or you leave comments on other people's sites or even social media, as you educate them, as you show what you're doing, you become an expert in a field or a type of art or graphic design. So make sure that you understand that. If you win awards, there are Hatch Awards, there's Effies, there's Clios, there's all sorts of awards out there, national, international awards for graphic designers. If you submit some of your pieces with your client's approval, obviously, the client usually gets recognition, but also the graphic designer gets recognition. When that happens, you're able to put that onto your website, your portfolio, your resume, whatever it is. Stay informed and become a social media expert. So you may be out onto some of the great sites that are out there that comment or educate, even tutorials. If you're creating tutorials, that's a way that you can post onto social media. You're educating people. They like to see your posts. It's not that you're just putting up an ad. You are educating them, but also you are now the expert that they go to when they need to know something. If you already have clients, customers, we created a logo for a company. They don't need another logo in the next 2 years. How are you going to get more business from them? You need to keep in touch with them. Maybe they have a new package design or a new product. That new product may need a logo for the product. So we have Nestle, which is the company, and then Kit Kat is the product. The Kit Kat logo is different than the Nestle logo. They may come to you, but you need to keep in touch so that some other designer doesn't scoop it. Get in there and do it. You can always advertise, but who likes to look at ads? Things that we need to discuss with the clients. Think of yourself as a reporter. You are going to be doing investigative reporting. When you walk into a client's office, you need to be in charge and you need to have a list. I recommend carrying a clipboard. Anyone with a clipboard looks official and gets respect. And so go in with a notebook, a clipboard, a tablet, whatever it is, but you are going to start asking questions. You are going to try to drill down and understand why they've invited you in to talk about graphic design, what their needs are. So you're going to outline their objectives. Are they looking to sell 1,000 new widgets? If they have crisis management, somebody got caught doing something they shouldn't, and now the company is getting a really bad name, but it was this individual that did it, not the company. We need to figure out a way to spin that message a different way. Determine primary and secondary messaging. So if this is environmentally friendly, this new product, that may be the primary message. But the secondary message is it's easier, it's cheaper, it's, great colors for the specific target market. Whatever it is, you may have one big topic that you're really trying, but there are other messages that you can also ride the coattails of. What tone or style is this going to be for a kid's product? So it's going to look like Fisher Price and bright primary colors? Or is this thing that you're designing or creating for a senior, somebody over 60, retired? They will have a very different look and feel. So you need to understand that the graphics, as well as the writing, whether it's targeted at the kids, whether it's targeted at the parents of those kids or the grandparents of those kids, you need to understand who you're writing and designing the ad or brochure or product labeling for. Determine the delivery method. How's it going to get out there? Is it going to be direct mail, like postcards going to somebody's house? Is it going to be a brochure where a salesperson will pass it to you? Is it something you can download off of a website, a PDF of the brochure, and not a printed version of it? Do we have social media involved somehow? And it's pictures that you're going to be posting onto Instagram or Pinterest. So you need to understand all the different things that are available, and most of the time, you're not going to hit all of them. You need to identify which is the best for this specific situation. We need to list the content requirements and the sources. So where are we getting this copy that's going to go into the brochure or the ad? Where are the pictures? Do they have their logo? Don't tell me they're going to go and right-click on the logo in their website, because that's going to be a 72 DPI file if they download the logo right from their website. That's going to be too low res for a brochure. And so we want to find that AI file, the Illustrator file for their logo, not the SVG that was uploaded or the PNG to the website. Develop an overall style. So we need to understand, maybe they already have a style guide and certain colors that they use, certain typography that they use. That's something that you need to investigate. And now all of your content needs to look like it belongs with their other collateral, with their other marketing materials. Figure out who's going to be working on this. The writer. If you're not the writer, you need to find the writer. Maybe you're hiring the writer, or maybe they have a marketing person that does their writing for them. But you need to figure out if the photographer, all of these things are things that you need to know, but you also are asking them. Determine a production plan. Typically, they're going to tell you, we need this for the sales meeting at the end of October. You now need to work back from that date in October and figure out, when do I need the photography? When do I need the copy written? When do I need to work in InDesign or make the infographics? Whatever it is, that becomes a production plan. Budget. I always ask the customer what the budget is. It's not fun talking about money, because you know that you need to get paid. They know that they need to pay you, but here comes the little dance where they want to pay you as little as possible, because then they get to do other things with the money. You want to get paid as much as possible because you know that you're going to do a great job for them and put in all these hours, maybe get better than stock photography. You could hire a photographer and get the exact shot you want instead of going to stock photography. So you need to talk to them about what their financial outlay is going to be, and then create this overall timetable or the plan, including meetings with the clients, meetings with all of the other vendors that you're working with, as well as when you're dealing, maybe it's something that gets printed. You have to incorporate the printing time into that, getting it ready for the October drop dead date. Some of the other things you want to discuss when we're planning, you want to sharpen the vision of what the project is going to be. They will want to do anything and everything. So you need to bring it down. So you need to figure out what decisions need to be made, what kind of quality schedules, costs are going to be involved. You need to identify any issues beforehand. There are always going to be other issues coming up, but definitely think about what you might be running into along the way and try to look for the speed bumps, get them taken care of before they happen. You need to understand the technical decisions that you have to make, file formats, the computer systems, how you're going to distribute this out to the masses from your website. Identify the people, the resources, and what communication method are you going to use with the client? If the client's in Salem, Mass, I'm not going to a meeting at their company anytime in October. No, because it is nuts in Salem in October. And so I put that in there for Jerry. But if you think about it, I can do Zoom, I can email, I can text, I can show them what I need to, share a PDF with them, get their input. I can do all of that without having to get in the car, drive over there. It's going to take an hour to get there just because of this craziness that happens and there's no parking. And then an hour home. Who's paying for that 2 hours? It's not the designer's job to pay for that 2 hours. So that's going to be something the client should be paying for, your time in the car or on the phone. And so you need to understand that you don't want to have to charge the client for that 2 hour period because it's inefficient. More things to discuss. We need to think about that overall process. Yeah, you can make a flow chart like this. You can make there's a lot of project software out there that we'll talk about later in this course. And as you're working with this, what's nice about having a flow chart or timetable calendar, it shows while the photographer is taking pictures, the illustrator person is creating an infographic. Then when those two things are done, only then can the page layout person start working on in InDesign to lay out the brochure, let's say, because the writer, the photographer, and the graphics person got them the files they needed. Can't work in InDesign really until you get those components. So figure out what the mission is. What is the problem we're trying to solve? Research it, go out, see what the competition looks like. Is the competition really strong in one area, but maybe weak in another area? That would give you, or they may bring up that that's what they want to highlight, is the weakness, but make it a strength in what you're promoting. Identify the target markets. And those target markets, what we're talking about, could be the people that we're trying to design our brochures for, or a website. Develop the specific activities that we're going to do, identify each one of those. I don't know if you're a list maker, but I love making lists because you get to cross something off. There are times when I'll make my list so specific that I can cross 10 things off in a day. That's a great feeling because now I know that I did something, I accomplished it, it started and it stopped. That's what you're trying to figure out. What needs to be done? Don't think that you're going to remember it all, because in a 2-month process for creating this brochure from start to finish, you're probably not going to remember everything that you did 2 months ago. Make an evaluation, a measure of what you're doing and how you're doing it. So does everything have to be A+, or can something be maybe a B and we can still get forward? So in a case of a B, I might get stock photography. It's not the perfect. Yes, a real photographer with lighting and a really good camera, high resolution, took the photo, but it's not the exact photo I wanted. But I didn't have to spend $1,000 for a photographer to go in, set this up in their studio and shoot it. I got $25 for that stock photography. So it's a B, not an A plus. So figure out what the measure is for each activity that you have and where you might be able to save some time, save some money. Make this implementation plan and think about the budget for each activity that you're working on, and then post at the end of a project. You always have a post-project review. And this is one of the things that a lot of designers forget, but you want to step back and say, what did we do well? What didn't we do well? What could we do better next time? And that's going to make you better designers or better project planners. Now, when we talk about this target market, another word for target market might be demographic. We're trying to figure out who is going to use this brochure. Let's say it's a brochure for the salespeople to use. Who's going to use the brochure? So they're high-end salesmen selling a product that might cost $1,000. So we have a brochure. And who is going to be the one buying that product? Because now that brochure is going to be used by the salesperson to walk through and show them all the features, but they're going to leave it with that person. That person might go back and now compare all the different products that they're considering. And if your product is organized for that specific demographic. So what is included in the demographic? Maybe the age. So is it a young millennial? Is it a senior citizen? Ethnicity. Do we even include the front of the brochure is in Spanish, the back of the brochure is in English? So if we have two different demographics, we might want to think about, okay, I can do this in one brochure. Location, are they urban? Are they city dwellers? Do they live out in the country? Maybe the suburbs? That will give a different look or feel to your products, your things that you're creating. The style, as I mentioned before. Financial status. I think a person that maybe buys a Mercedes for $60,000, and then another person that buys a Honda for $25,000. The person that buys the $60,000 Mercedes is buying it because they like German engineering and they think it's better and it's worth that $60,000. However, the person that buys the $25,000 brand new Honda also thinks about, this is high quality. However, I just saved myself $40,000 by not buying that Mercedes. So they may be thinking a different way. You have to understand their financial status. Are they white collar, blue collar, gray collar, in between? And that's part of your messaging or the pictures, the graphics that you use. What are their interests? So we need to come up with a solution for this company and for the people that they're trying to attract. So we also need to understand who in the company is going to be using this. Sales, customer service, marketing, management, HR. Customer service is always a big one. Sales also a big one that needs some kind of backup, some kind of literature or collateral. Where do you get your factual information? Many times, if we could do a survey, if we could ask all of the potential target market that we have, if I could ask them, what is it that you want? Then from the horse's mouth, from the target people that I'm trying to sell something to, they can tell me what they want. However, most of the time, they don't want to answer a survey. Nobody's going to pick up the telephone for the telemarketer and give them. You get an email with a survey in it, you may not do it. So yes, we can do questionnaires. We can do focus groups and ask people what they think of something. We can do role playing and online emails, chats, interviews with people by phone. Most of the time, observation as well as using the internet to go out and find out what has worked and what hasn't worked in certain cases. So where can you go? You can go to museums, you can look in magazines or periodicals, trade journals. Anything published with interviews is always great. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Adobe Max is coming in October. Adobe has a 2 or 3 day conference that they do once a year, and it's all over the country that they will host this. One year it was in Boston, it was great. However, this year it's all virtual, and they decided we're not even going to charge people to come to these 2 days worth of sessions. It's going to be free. So you can just sign up for Adobe Max, and it has experts that will do demonstrations. It has Adobe people talking about what's new and upcoming in the next versions of Adobe, how to do different things. So that would be one of these places you could do some research for the graphic design side of things. Lots of internet research, TED Talks, presentations that are out there. One of the things when you're working with a client, you really need to check out their past work. You want to see what photography, maybe they have photography of the products that would work really well in what you're thinking for your brochure. If they have some drawings or sketches, media, 2D or 3D, what fonts have they used in the past? North Shore, you may not even know it, but North Shore uses Rotus. And Rotus is a typeface and we have the full family of bold, extra bold, ultra bold, italic, light. But when you pick a typeface, what you're doing is saying this shape of these text goes with the style we're doing. So it's not cursive because we're not a wedding shop. It may be sans serif like we're using here. So typographic styles matter, and they may already have a style that they work with from a previous graphic designer. Same thing with composition, how they do their if they're friendly and folksy in how they put things forward, whether it's very conservative. You need to understand that. Graphics, videos, audio, what's available. And remember, they may have marketing people or editorial people, PR people that could feed you some of the information that you need. Now, one of the things that I don't know if anybody's ever made a mood board or a visual or done scrapbooking. If you're considering doing something, you may be walking around the company, they're giving you a tour, and as you do, maybe you're taking some pictures. Maybe if they let you, you're looking at what people have on the wall, what some of the products look like. Are they very technical and boxy? Are they rounded? So you're going to start creating a mood or a style that you're thinking the products look this way. That's what my designs are going to reflect. What are the textures, the patterns, the colors that they're using? You may just start collecting those in photographs, or as you see other things, rip them out of magazines and put them all together. And you can do that easily with the smartphone, or you could do it with paper, okay? Traditional scrapbook. Take this seriously, because putting all of this together, and even if you have a cork board on the wall, putting it on the wall as you're working on a project gets everyone on the same wavelength. If I try to say, you know, I think blue is the color that we want to use for the backgrounds, for the a lot of the color tones that we're working in. Somebody may be thinking turquoise blue, or light sky blue, or a royal blue. So you need to fully understand, if you take a swatch of blue, put it on the mood board, now everybody knows what color you're talking about, and anyone else you're working with will create this infographic with shades of blue that match the photos and match the headlines that you're going to create, or the text boxes that you want to put. So sketch it down, write it, think about all of that. Now, how many of you, have you ever done a proposal? If you've created anything, even if you are going to be when you were in high school and were a babysitter, you may have to go and say, I want to do this. Or if you wanted to start a fundraiser to raise something for monies for a certain project, writing it down so that everyone else knows what you're doing is part of this. I don't know a single client that's going to meet with you once and say, yep, here's a check for $25,000, go out and do whatever you want. It's not going to happen. So typically what they're doing is they're meeting with you one day, they're meeting with somebody else the next morning, and yet another firm the next afternoon. So the three of you heard similar things during your meetings, and now you have to go away, brainstorm, create a proposal or a brief. You're going to repeat back to the client what you heard that they need for a project, and you're going to kind of describe what you think they should be doing. Should it be social media? Should it be something on their website? Should we be starting a Pinterest area? Should we be doing this brochure for them? How is the rollout going to happen? What's the cost going to be? What's the timeline? Who's going to need to be involved? You're going to write all of this down, and you're going to give it to them in writing with the contract. And at the end of that contract, it says, we will deliver this product, 25,000 brochures for your sales meeting October 29th on this date, and it will cost you for those 10,000 brochures this amount of money for the design, the photography, the writing, the graphic creation, the printing, the shipping, whatever it is. And then if you give it to them, they get the same, a different proposal, but a similar for the same project from 2 other design firms. If they like your concept, if they like your ideas, you haven't designed anything yet. You are just creating this brochure, concept of the brochure, but maybe you've talked to them. Maybe you've shown them some thumbnails even, just to give them a visual. But they're looking at the bottom line, the price, the timetable, and did they like you when they met with you? Did you ask the right questions? Did you give them confidence that you could do this, and your creativity? Did you come up with good ideas in front of them that they could then say, yeah, this chick was much better than those other 2 bozos that were in the next day. So keep that in mind. Part of this is a legal document, this proposal or brief that you each sign, and it becomes a contract that they will pay you if you deliver these things that you said were the deliverables. But also, it's an organized way of showing what it is that you're doing, when you're doing it, and how you're doing it. So when we talk about the visuals, let's say we gave them our proposal, they liked it, we now have the job. So I'm working with 2 or 3 people, coming up with this mood board or visuals. I like this typeface. I like reds and the pinks. I think that's going to be good. I like some close-ups of different things. It's going to be quirky. Those are the things that are up on the mood board. I'm going to start sketching some thumbnails. Thumbnails are just quickie understandings before you get to the computer, quick ideas for what you think could be on each one of these pages. We have roughs, loose comps, tight comps, which are almost what you would see coming out of your computer when you hit print, and a digital draft. A digital draft might be a PDF that you could send to the client and say, this is what it's going to look like in a digital form, maybe what you want on your website. We're also going to print this out, 8.5, 11, 8-page brochure, whatever. Now, what are these different components? Thumbnails and roughs. These are sketches. Why do we need sketches? We have the computer, we have Illustrator, we have Photoshop. I can do all of this there just as easily. I've got a tablet. The issue with those is you are counting on the buttons that are in Illustrator to give you ideas. I can do a rectangle, I can do a circle, I can do an ellipse. What if I want an irregular shape? It's so much easier to take a pencil and draw this kidney bean shape that is now going to have all of this text and call outs all around it. So we are going to come up with rough, quick brainstorms. Think of thumbnails as visual brainstorming. Have you ever done brainstorming? Brainstorming is just a group of people together throwing out ideas. Nothing is wrong because one idea might lead you to another idea. So if I need to create in the case of this, a logo for a place in Mexico, a tourism office, maybe one of these ideas will lead me to another idea, will lead me to another idea. And so we want to do rapid, quick sketches. I've heard of people that in a bar have created a marketing campaign or a product. They put it on a cocktail napkin. As they're talking, they just sketch it out. It's up in the conference room or the president's office because that's what the company started on. This little thumbnail on a cocktail napkin led to Apple computer. So think about these quick concepts. Also, if I'm doing a brochure, let's say that in the brochure, I want to do something where I need a picture of a bus. I will need to hire a photographer to get this bus. That's what I've decided to do in the brochure, have a picture of a bus. I need to sketch something to show the photographer, is it a bird's eye view of the bus? Is it one side of the bus? Is it the front or the back of the bus? So we need to have these comps that are pretty tight because I don't want the photographer just willy-nilly doing 20 different shots and charging me $1,000 when I can say, this is the only side of the bus I need. And now I have a $500 shot of the bus instead of 1,000 with 3 different perspectives. So a loose comp is the next step up. It starts to look like the typography that I'm going to use. It's more of the shapes. It's not just rough outlines with lines for the text. It is going to start looking like the actual font that we're thinking about. So here are some logo designs that you're looking at in these comps. It's very useful as a communication tool with the photographer, the illustrator, the copywriter. It might even be useful with the client. If you have a client that can't visualize, showing them something at this phase may be better than going into the computer, spending all this time with the one that you picked, and then saying, no, I don't like that. Do something else. So showing them these comps might be easier to narrow it down. Interesting, I found this graphic the other day. Some of the thumbnails that led to some logos. So if we look at the I Heart New York, it might have just been one and Y. In red, we may look at the one for the World Wildlife Foundation with the panda. They have all different positions that you can put a panda, but maybe the one coming towards you and looking friendly could have been that Virgin Records or Virgin Airlines. It needs to work with multiples. Citi is a bank and financial institution, but it has an umbrella, an overarching. So built into the logo is a concept of inclusiveness and covering much of what you're working on. Dummies. This is a graphic design and printing term, dummy, just so you know. And what a dummy is it's a mock-up. If I'm doing an 8-page brochure like you see pictured there, what I need to know is how thick that brochure is. How much space do I have to work with? Is it a digest size, 8.5, 5.5? Or are the pages 8.5, 11? I have a lot. So I can go to a printing company and say, this is the paper I want to use. The printing company will locate that paper, give me blank sheets, and I can make this brochure blank, and then I can start doing my thumbnails right on that brochure. So what's going to be on the cover? As I open it up, do I need a table of contents? Do we need a message from the owner or the president? Next page, the double page spread in the center. Do I put a shot of the insides of the machine to show how it works, or whatever the sales reps or the customer might want? So this dummy is an accurate way of showing you what the finished product is going to look like without it being all color and printed, but it's going to show the size and the scope of what we're working on. Tight comps. And there's a lot of discussion around tight comps these days. Do we need to go to this level of detail with the sketches? And for first-time graphic designers, it might be a good process to go through. However, most of the time what you're seeing is tight comps and electronic drafts are things that are now done in the computer. Now that we have WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get on the monitor, and I can use a mouse to create these rounded squares that a picture will go into, and a caption underneath with a subhead and a headline. So I can do this in the computer, or I can do it on paper and then translate that into the computer. The digital comp or the draft. This is, if I were to make a PDF, I could send it to the client. The picture that you see in the background with the hand with the tablet and the computer screen, if that's a brochure, it prints out flat like that. You would have to fold it in half. Or you could send a PDF with just the first image that's on the right side, and then the back is going to be the hand with the tablet. That would be the second page or the fourth page in your PDF. So you can set up a comp or a printed out version of this. Show that to the client. What they're going to be looking at is color. They're going to be looking at the type. Can they read this? Are the graphics relatable to what they need? Are there misspellings, or the terminology that we're using is incorrect? And so does it flow? You are going to use this comp or this draft to proofread. If you sign off on this, we go to the next phase. The next phase is a full color proof that is printed by the printing company. So if this was a brochure, they make the printouts off of their machine. Why do they do that? Because their machine is calibrated. It's calibrated to the ink and the printing presses that they use at their company. So they will not take your comp or your draft and use that, because I don't know where you got your inks in your studio's printer. You could have got them from Ink Cartridge World, and when you make solid yellow, it looks like Goulden's mustard. So we need to make sure that we're showing the client a proof that's going to look as close as possible to what the 10,000 brochures they're buying is going to look like. So we go to the printing company. We send them the files, the InDesign, the illustrations, the photos, the fonts. We send all of that to the printing company, and for an 8-page brochure, they may charge us $500 for the proof. They're not charging you $500. They're charging the client. You built that into the price of the $25,000 job that you're doing for the client. And so these proofs, now the client can look at them and say, ooh, that green is too mossy. We want it to be more of a military green because the product is supposed to be, it's camo green. It's supposed to be used by hunters or something. Whatever it is, now they can see the color, the exact color that they should expect in their brochure. Once the client's happy with everything they see in these proofs from the printing company, they sign them. Why do they sign them? Because if they make 10,000 brochures, that marketing person that you've been dealing with brings it into their boss, the VP, and says, look, we got the brochures. Aren't they great? And the marketing VP says, no, I hate this color green. That person in marketing, the marketing manager says, oh, I didn't even see that. Yeah, that's an awful green. They never should have done that. I don't know why they did that. That doesn't match what we need for our logo or the product. You have the signed off proof, one that they signed, because if it didn't match, they're going to make you reprint it. And you have to pay for it, those 20,000 or 10,000 brochures. However, if you have a signed proof from the printing company that was signed by that marketing manager, now if they find a typo, the color's wrong, whatever, they've signed off on it. They have to pay for the 10,000 to be reprinted with a different color green or the typo fixed. So we had a proposal, a brief that had a contract, and we have a digital proof that's color correct, typography correct, picture correct, quality that they sign off on. These are two legal documents that protect you, the graphic designer. So how do you become a better designer? You can read as many books, visit as many websites, go out and look at other people's designs, look at other people's portfolios, try to maybe assimilate other types of art or design or architecture, painting, whatever, understand what everyone else is doing, see what the trends are. Visit different galleries. If you're doing something for a manufacturer, go and look at the competition as well. Understand what different cultures do, different areas of the world might be doing. We get a lot of our inspiration from other designers in other places. And so they need to be awake, aware, note what's around you. So there's some videos in here on idea pitching. I'm going to let you watch those videos on your own. Some of the images for this came from pixels.com. Pixels.com has free stock photography. So keep that in mind as you're looking for inspiration. What should go on a cover of a brochure? Part of your mood board or your visual might be going out to a stock photography site and seeing what's out there for this specific type of scene or these colors that you're looking for or this type of mood that you're trying to set. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this if I can find my cursor. So what questions or comments do you have? Anything? Have you ever made a brochure, a proposal? Did anyone say that they've designed a proposal before? Okay, there are a couple of you that have done proposals, and it can be a scary thing because you don't know what your competition is proposing. You don't know if you're charging too much or too little, but one of the things that I would suggest is part of your research is what's available to you as a graphic designer for things like a proposal. Is there a standard template that you could use, a standard contract that you could use? AIGA, and I'm going to go out and let me see if I can find Firefox. And there's the good old printing museum up in Haverhill. If you came in late, we talked about that a little bit, if you want to see some historical type. But if I look at aiga.org, this is the Professional Association for Graphic Designers. They have all sorts of resources. So yes, this is a group that you would belong to, you would join or renew, you could donate and give them some, they have a student donation that you could do. But think about the resources. If I wanted to come down to legal, contract and legal guides, right here on this website that's made for graphic designers, they have some standard contracts. Here's one for services, independent, if you're a freelancer, some articles, how do contracts work? What do you have to do? 3 steps for better contracts, in-house, if you're doing something for another department you may want to do. So we've got legal guides in here, careers, and they even have a job board on this site so that you can find some different jobs that are available all over the country for, what's an experiential graphic designer? Anybody know? Experiential means you are going to create things that are out in the field that people are actually using. So think about the aquarium or the museum. If you have kids that are going, or even adults, you have to make charts and graphs and maps, but you may also have to say, this is how this works at the Museum of Science, and you're actually creating an experience, but you're doing all the visuals or the graphics for it. That would be a fun one. Here's one out in North Adams, way out in Western Mass, if you like their story publishing, but a marketing designer. So they have different job postings here. Students, educators, finding a school, about a profession, careers in design, different events that are out there. I wonder if they list AIGA conference, but they're not talking about, let's go to October, see if they're, well, we don't have it next month. Look at all these different things that are going on out there. Sold out a tour. They're not even talking about the Adobe. There's a happy hour. Let's go to that one. Okay, so Adobe Max. Why don't I see if we can find. Registration is open. Adobe Max, what it is, it's a conference with many different speakers talking about, these are all experts. So if Annie Leibovitz, she's a photographer. Ava Debunat, she's a film producer and writer. So we've got lots of different people here, whether they're from Adobe or other places, but these are all guest speakers that are going to talk. Then they can actually do events where they show you how to do effects, like something like you might see there. Tell you what the next version of Photoshop is going to include. And doing some fun things and showing you how to create videos. But as I look at this, there's a zillion speakers because they have overlapping sessions. What are the sessions that you could sign up for? They will have a brochure down here. You can look for the day, these 3 days, and the time slot. And what are you looking for? Are we looking for creative? Are we looking for hands-on work sessions and tutorials? Engage things, whatever it is. Sponsors, who's sponsoring this? I would think Adobe and Dell Computers, Microsoft. Did you know that Adobe and Microsoft are in bed with each other? A lot of the fonts that Microsoft uses are Adobe fonts. And so they've turned their back. Adobe, a little while ago, turned their back on Apple because Apple got too big. And the reason why we don't use Flash anymore is because Apple said, we're not going to pay the licensing fee to have Flash on every single iPhone phone. And so all the websites, you'd go there and it would just say, needs a Flash plugin. And Adobe said, Apple said, nope, we're not doing it. So pretty much Flash went away because, so Adobe and Apple are kind of not friends anymore, just so you know. Okay, what other questions, comments? Okay, well, what I'm going to do, hold on one second. I'm going to list the participants. I'm going to do a screenshot so that I can share with Jerry, everybody that was here, she probably, if she watches this video, she'd be able to see it too, but I'm going to capture that and then come down and do another screenshot for the bottom part. And hold on one second. Here we go. Capture that. Okay, I've taken attendance. So I think if there aren't any questions, I'm going to let you go a little early. And you need to check Blackboard, check your syllabus, maybe email if you have questions, email Jerry. She'll probably be able to, at least with one hand, email back to you. And just send her your best wishes for a speedy recovery, maybe. Maybe she'll let you virtually sign her cast or something. Okay. All right. I don't know a lot of you. Some of you I do. So any of those that I don't know, feel free to email me, ask questions. If you're thinking about doing an internship next semester, definitely get in touch with me and we can talk about where you think your career might want to go and sites that are around the North Shore area that you might be able to do an internship that will look good on your resume and help you get that job that you want later on. Okay. All right. Good to see you. And I will be hopefully talking to all of you at some point. Hi, Annie. And Lauren. Oh, so lots of people that I've had in past classes. Great. Rachel, are you asleep? Do I need to wake you up? And Morgan, you showed up? No video camera though. What's with that? All right, I'm going to end this meeting.